Jorge on the treadmill. I love that. Good for you. There's never a bad time to get extra credit. So I'm excited to have everyone here. Again, this is the last lecture of the summer semester in our entrepreneurship value creation course. We've got a tremendous guest speaker to speak to us tonight about her experiences as an entrepreneur. But before we dig into that, we always like to understand who is on the call and why they've joined us. So with that, I always ask three questions. Your year in school, your major, and why you took a course on entrepreneurship. We're going to start with the people brave enough to go on camera. Kevin Altina, your year in school, your major, and why you took a course on entrepreneurship.
Well, it's been 6 years, so maybe a senior, doing part-time schooling and full-time work. Reason I took this is it was the best class offered this summer. And then what was the third one?
So year in school, major, and why you took the course.
Sorry, electrical engineering.
Excellent. So Kevin, important lesson here from someone who's ran the race many times. There is no race but your own. 4 years for some people do it in 2, some people do it in 7. One of the most successful people I went to undergrad with dropped out twice, went to community college, came back, did the whole shuffle circuit, and now is the VP of sales at a medical device company, crushing life. But if you met him at 23, he was, year 7 of his undergrad journey. Trust me, it is a marathon. And you should not be judging yourself against any conventional standard of when things should be done. You do what's best for you, be true to yourself, and if you work hard, good things will happen. Thank you for being on camera and for sharing your story. Jesus Castillo, please, your year in school, your major, and why you took a course on entrepreneurship.
Yep, Jesus Castillo, software engineering as my major. I'm similar to Kevin over here. I believe it's my 5th going on 6th year, but 2 semesters left and then I'm good. If everything goes well.
And you're an engineering major as well?
Yeah, software engineering. And I took this class. I was partly curious on entrepreneurship. I did try to start my own business one time, but like COVID happened and it was a bad time to start that.
Well, as you'll learn, starting a business, having a family, there's never a good time to do it. There's always a reason not to have a baby. There's always a reason not to take the journey to be an entrepreneur. These hard things that we do in life, the timing will never be right. One has to summon the courage and step forward into the void. That's really the only choice we have in life. So I applaud you for the things you did. And trust me, as you get out in the world, being a failure at something hard will earn you street cred. In often cases, more street cred than being successful at something easy, right? So it shows an incredible amount of courage, of vision, of fortitude, of self-confidence. So for all of you young students, I encourage you to step outside your comfort zone and fail at something hard versus doing the easy thing and being successful. As you go through jobs and having, now interviewed people many, many times as a manager, I'm always wildly impressed and says, I did this, but it didn't work out. And those are better conversations and tell me more about a person than the 8 things they did well that were kind of more conventional. So last opening before we jump into it with Abby, Ryan Scott, you jumped in and said it's your 7th year. I got to hear the story, Ryan. Your year in school, your major, and your entrepreneurship interest.
7th year. So I guess I'm a senior. I got 2 semesters left, so I'll be 8 years by the time I'm done. I'm probably the oldest person in here right now. I'm 50. So I went back to school late. I wanted options as I got older, but I took this class in the summer because I needed a credit, and this fulfilled that. And I heard it was, to be honest, I heard it was kind of easy. So, and it has been enjoyable. I've learned a lot. It's a lot of work though, but I do have a little I do some side work on the side, not necessarily a business, but I do engineering work on the side. Since I've been in it so long, I work for several. I have a full-time job and 2 part-time jobs, and full-time school. So kind of a busy person.
Well, the saying in business is if you want something done, give it to a busy person. Right? If you want something done, you don't give it to the person who's got 3 things to do. You give it to the person who's got 23 things to do because they know how to get things done. So there's a lot to be said for being busy. I am here at 8 o'clock at night instructing all of you and trying to share some wisdom from myself and my former colleagues. And it's the same philosophy that the person who stays busy ends up getting a lot more done. So good on you, Ryan. Again, we're all running our own race. And the sooner you stop comparing yourself to the convention and the more you compare yourself to the dreams and aspirations you're aspiring to, the better off you will be. With that, I'd like to introduce Abby Thompson. Abby and I worked together for many years at a world-class company called Rolls-Royce, the engine maker for aircraft that many of us have flown on, not the luxury automaker. Since then, Abby's gone on to be a successful entrepreneur. And what I've liked to do in all these semesters is welcome people who have an entrepreneurial journey or an intrapreneurial journey. So in the past, we've heard from people at Carrier and at Rolls-Royce who've done intrapreneurial projects and have been very successful. But Abby's actually stepped out of corporate America and has done her own thing. And what you'll learn as you work through your career, as Ryan just told us, right, is there's a million opportunities out there in the informal economy. And I mean that by not big business, essentially, not like publicly traded companies, to earn money by applying your unique skills and delivering your unique value. And so almost everyone on this call right now has the opportunity that Abby has. It's just, do you have the wherewithal to put yourself out there and to go capture that value and deliver for your clients and earn money? So as we close the course and talk about cash, we brought on Abby to talk about her entrepreneurial journey. This semester, we've had Steve Vega from Avon, Ohio, who spoke about his journey starting a basketball academy. We had Mike Simic, who talked about his journey starting a units storage company. And now we have Abby. There's a million different ways to make money in our economy, thank goodness. And there's a million different ways for you to become the best version of yourself as you go through your professional career. And I think Abby's becoming the best version of herself in so much as she's taken all the skills that she's acquired over the years and applying them in the way that earns her money, earns her freedom, and lets her work the way she wants to work. That said, I'd love to introduce Abby and let her take the next 15 to 20 minutes sharing her entrepreneurial journey and let you all think about this and synthesize it relative to the decks you're producing on your value creation journey. With that, Abby, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk with you all. Impressed to be in a room with a bunch of engineers who are highly intelligent, I've always found, and have many skill sets that I don't. And so I have always loved working with engineers. So I thought I would just take you a little bit through my entrepreneurship journey today, but also I guess it kind of leads to like life journey. So hopefully I won't get too deep into that, but it all kind of leads up to, you know, kind of me starting a little business, and you'll kind of see how that happened. Also, I'm completely open for questions at the end, in the middle, so jump in if you have any questions, and thank you for having me. So my first slide here, you'll see, hopefully Bryan, Professor Mitchell is with me, being an Ohio State Buckeye fan. I don't know how you all feel about that. Everyone usually has pretty specific feelings. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and so it's in your DNA. And so I grew up in Columbus. My parents my dad was a firefighter, so worked really hard and loved his job. My mom was a business executive, and I learned a ton from her in terms of just organization and planning and execution, and kind of a little bit more on the business side of things. I decided to go to Butler University for college, And that was a fabulous experience. Loved it in Indianapolis. While I was there, couple fun experiences. I got to study abroad in Italy, and I got to go to Mexico when I was in a class on NAFTA, which is the North American Free Trade Agreement. And I was an international business major, and so that's kind of what brought me to those. And then I had minors in Italian and Spanish, so it all made sense. And then in the business school at Butler, you had to do 2 internships for credit to graduate. And it's one of the best things I think about the School of Business there, because there's a really high level of rigor in these internships. You have to get them on your own, but they have really good connections with a lot of businesses. Rolls-Royce was one of them. And I really, really wanted that internship. So I worked really hard, networked a little bit. My 21-year-old self, whatever networking was at that age. And I did get the internship, which I was really excited about, which luckily led to a full-time role. So that's where I met Professor Mitchell. And I worked at Rolls-Royce for about a decade. I was in the defense business there the entire time. We powered all sorts of defense aircraft, and it was the first place that I learned how to find kind of a big purpose behind what I was doing. And I think that's really applicable to probably everyone's role. But coming into Rolls-Royce and not being an engineer like you all, I had a lot of trouble identifying kind of with the day-to-day work of gas turbine engines and how they were so technical. And I was always trying to learn much more than I knew about these engines. And so I was kind of down in the weeds and not always connecting to what I was marketing, if that makes sense. And this was kind of between 2005 and 2014. So the US was in Afghanistan and Iraq. It was shortly after 9/11. And come to find that so many of our engines were powering the aircraft that were defending our nation, protecting our soldiers. And that's where I finally kind of found that purpose. Once that realization hit me, you would think that would have maybe come quicker. But from that, I kind of learned to find the bigger purpose in almost any work I was doing. And so from then on, that really led me to, in marketing, really understand it's not just this little, whatever I'm working on my desk, it's what's the bigger purpose of the organization I'm working for. And that gave me a lot more drive than sometimes my little tasks, right? Let's see, I started a family in 2014, and the international travel made me nervous. So I actually had been kept in touch with Butler, and the former dean reached out to me about a director of marketing role back at Butler in the School of Business, which was my alma mater. So I took that role kind of at the very beginning of 2015. So I marketed the School of Business for Butler. And then from there, let's see, 2020, we all know how that went. COVID hit, and about half of our marketing staff got let go, me included. And so it's one of those bumps in the road that, man, it hurt. And I loved working there. Luckily, I was able to find another role fairly quickly within a couple months, but it was a really kind of scary time for all of us, and also, made a little more scary by losing my job. So I was lucky enough to find a job at a pool cover manufacturer near my location in Indianapolis. And it was actually 3 different companies. So I got to learn more about B2B and B2C marketing. And we launched a little e-commerce company while I was there. So I learned a lot during that time. A lot more about consumer marketing than I had before. And then I was just sort of, I don't know, I just kind of didn't see my future there forever. And I had always wanted to start consulting. And I think personally, I was stretched really thin with having a family and just not making it all work together. And so I kind of set out to build my life, I guess, around my family instead of working for someone else. And so I just tried. And I think it was really scary. I thought long and hard about what to launch and how to launch it. And I'll kind of get more into that. But that's kind of been my journey ever since, is kind of learning the best way to run my business. And it has been such a blessing because I feel like I've learned more in the past like 3 years than I did, in 10 years before that. So it's been a journey. I've also failed a lot, as Professor Mitchell just talked about. So you learn a lot from that. All right. Let's see here. I thought I would tell you just a little bit. I'm not going to go through them specifically, but I think over my professional career and of course personally, I've kind of decided and built my personal values. I don't know that I would have landed on these exact same things, 20 years ago. Some of them for sure, but it's been a journey, and this is kind of what I build my business around, as well as just my personal values. But one of the things that my mom always told me growing up is, if you don't use your head, you use your feet. And I don't think I've ever heard that from anyone else but her. Like, I've never seen it around. So I use this and I think about it all the time. I don't know why. Her grandma said that to her. My family came from Italy on both sides of my family. And they all just worked really hard and kind of were scrappy. And so anyways, she would say that in terms of like, I need to prepare for things. I need to plan for things. I need to think ahead and anticipate people's needs. And so I try and keep that in mind all the time. And then this other quote by Mother Teresa is one that I think reflects maybe how I feel about others, and not just professionally, but personally, just kind of recognizing that we all have our own strengths and everyone is so different. And everyone kind of has their own calling and interests and skills. And certainly in your professional world, I've really come to value, for instance, what engineers can do that I can't, which is a lot, right? And so leaning into the appreciation of everyone else's craft, I guess, and what you spend your whole day working on that I don't. So we're all kind of experts in our own right. And I've really learned to appreciate that about other people. Okay. So when I thought about, give me a sec here. Sorry, this being weird. When I thought about launching a small business, it kind of stemmed back to when I worked at Butler University. In the business school there was a business consulting group, a professional business consulting group with real consultants who did real work for businesses. And the reason it sat in the School of Business is because it could then bring those clients into the business school. And there were a lot of great synergies and connections with that. It helped provide internships for the students. It helped, like the school would do projects with these clients, and then they would also be served by the consulting group. So I helped market them, and I just learned a lot about consulting. And so I always had an interest in doing that. And I also really loved working with multiple clients. I love hopping around and learning new things. And I don't like being static. So it seemed to make sense. And then when I was thinking about kind of like what value I could bring, I had kind of sat at that director VP level in marketing, and the common external term is fractional CMO. You can just think about that in terms of like any marketing lead for any for any company, whatever that would be. And I just sort of noticed that there are so many small businesses and mid-sized businesses that in this economic environment, in this varied environment, they can't afford a full-time marketing lead. And so they really are missing that strategic direction. And so that's kind of what I built my business around is giving small and mid-sized businesses the ability to have that resource on a fractional level. And, this exists in the marketing world. It also is really popular, like with HR, even with like chief revenue officers, a lot of different functions I see now offering this sort of service. And I think it's really smart because so many businesses can't afford full-time folks for these purposes, but they can still get the expertise. So I just went ahead and tried. And I landed my first client, which was Evolved Lighting and Energy, through a family connection. And I'll talk a little bit more about them on the next slide. But let's see, since the beginning of 2024, January 2024, I launched. I've gotten to work with some amazing clients. I've really tried to build partnerships, and I hope that my clients feel like I'm part of their team and not like an agency, which feels a little bit more removed, right? And so the point is to feel like you have that chief marketing officer, but it's just on a more fractional, level. So I thought I would take you through a little bit of a case study with Evolved Lighting and Energy, just to take you through how I attain the client, how I manage the client, and a little bit about what I actually deliver and do for them. So there's sort of on the left there, the client delivery side, and on the right, it's like all the other business things that I do. So it's interesting. I've learned a lot about being a small business owner. There are a lot of hours that I spend not being paid. And I've learned that over time. So I have clients that have contracted me for a certain amount of work. Usually it's monthly. But then there are all these other things that I need to do to run my business that I just have to do and I don't get paid for. And so that's been I feel like most of my journey is like figuring out how to be better and more efficient at that. The marketing side, I feel like I can deliver pretty well. It's the whole business management side that I've been working to improve over these 2.5 years. And I've certainly had a ton of past colleagues and other entrepreneurs and folks in my network who have been so kind to just like meet with me for coffee and tell me what they do and how do you manage your invoices, and how do you, what's been effective for you with business development. And those have been so invaluable to me. And so hopefully going forward, I can pay it forward to other people as well. But with Evolved, I got them through a family connection. It's always friends and family, past colleagues, people who know you already and know of your work, are usually the ones that will connect with you first and hire you. And I can say that I'll have to go back and look at my client list there, but I would say 75% of my clients I already knew, or I was brought in by somebody I already knew. Couple others were through referrals, and those are amazing too, because you don't have to work as hard, but when you make your clients happy, hopefully they pass your name on one day. I think maybe one or two of them are more just kind of like from pure marketing and business development. So really those personal connections in my network is what has built the business up until now. So I got them through a family connection. They decided they need a fractional marketing lead. So I've been working with them on around, like 20 to 25 hours a month basis. I provide marketing strategy annually. We reevaluate it all the time. I manage all their vendors and bring in vendors that I know when we need things done. So for instance, a graphic designer or a web developer. And I manage all those vendors for them so that they don't have to worry about it. So one of the things I like to say is like, I kind of bring a full marketing department at a fractional level. You don't have to know a videographer or a photographer or a web developer. I'll bring them in unless you have someone you love, and we'll just, you've got a marketing team. I deliver metrics and reporting. I do a lot of content marketing myself most of the time for clients. I do run Google ads, which has been difficult lately with AI. And I also serve as CEO and sales support. A lot of B2B companies need really just marketing support specifically for their CEO or for their sales team to give them the tools and assets that they need to sell. On the business management side, there's a whole another bucket of things that I do. And that's been where I've been trying to optimize my time and my processes. A couple of them that, you know, at the very beginning, I was kind of like, well, how do I even set up a work email? You know? So I had to figure out Google Workspace. You know, when IT breaks, I don't have an IT person to run to. So I've had to figure out a lot of things on my own. Thank goodness for Claude that I can ask these questions. Financial management is another one that, you know, I've been improving over time. I think I've worked my cost structure and my price structure many times. I undersold myself a lot. I ate a lot of time and didn't get paid for it with some clients. And so I just learned from that. And the next time with a client, I would price it differently or become more efficient in a different way. So you just live and learn, I guess. Capacity planning is another one that I have to work hard on because, you know, I really want to make sure that I'm dedicating the right amount of time for each client. I have to kind of plan out my month, make sure I can deliver what I say I'm going to deliver. And then I have to balance that with my other, you know, like home responsibilities, what I do for my home, what I do for my kids. I have flexibility, which is wonderful, but sometimes, you know, I overload myself, being a part of everything I can be a part of. So I've had to manage myself with that. And lastly, I'll just touch on business promotion, because this was something that you think as a marketer, I would be okay with, but it was really hard for me at first. So putting myself out there, I use LinkedIn a lot. And, you know, at the very beginning, just putting a post together about my expertise or my offerings, I would just like cringe to press send. Like it just, you know, it was really hard. And I think I had the realization one day that if I don't put myself out there, no one's going to know I'm here. I'm never going to get any business. So I just kind of had to get over that. And I try and in whatever I do, be authentic and transparent and just be myself and not try and be other people that I've seen or that I feel like I should be. And that has been a big change for me just mentally and how I try and promote myself, because it felt really uncomfortable before. And that's how I treat like networking as well. I don't go in like, you know, trying to network with people. I love to just like grab coffee and get to know them. And just, you know, that feels so much better to me. So I've just kind of learned to be myself more, I think. And it's made me a lot more comfortable with getting things done and hopefully doing it the right way for myself. So that's kind of been my entrepreneurship journey. I love what I do. I love all my clients. I feel really blessed that I'm able to have flexibility at this stage in my life and be able to build my business and learn from people. So hopefully one day I can give back to others and teach them a few things that took me a long time to learn.
Apologies, Abby, that is an excellent story. I want to sum up a few things I heard Abby say there that are an echo and a refrain from what we said to start. And we've said this in every one of the sessions. I know most of you weren't here in my past sessions, but the number one thing I tell my interns as they leave, or young employees as they leave, and I'll tell all the students as you finish this semester, the hardest thing to do in business is to be yourself and to not try to be somebody else. It is so tempting to see others be successful and go, I'll just replicate that. I'll just become a version of that. And what you find is you can't be that because that's not you. And so you can do maybe 70% of that, or in a good day, 85% of that. And the goal that each of you should have as you build your career and build your skill set, and especially as you think about being an entrepreneur, is working hard to becoming the most unique version of yourself. And when you really stop and think about it, the people that our society venerates are the ones that like make this an art form. Like, say what you want about Elon Musk, but like the guy's himself to a fault. Warren Buffett and the guy, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, and Jeff Bezos. These guys that are like seminal figures in our culture, or people on Wall Street, or people, extraordinary artists, or extraordinary, especially in the world of film and music, right? Anything creative and art. When you think about great directors or great people that make music, the thing that they've done is tapped into what makes them unique, and like been extraordinarily true to that. And I tell you this because what you'll find is when you're in college, it's kind of easy to do that because you've got no real responsibilities. Once you have a mortgage and mouths to feed, it becomes a lot more sensible to try to fit in and become somebody else. What Abby said there echoes what I've been saying for 3 years as I teach this course, which is, and I hope it sticks with all of you students, as you mature and become more confident in yourself and you grow your skills, you should do so in the kind of like aim of making that your version of those skills and something only you know, because we all have this unique journey. And so it sounds kind of cliche and kind of like something you'd read in an Instagram meme, but I'm telling you, it is the truth. The people that I know in my career, that in every job I've been to, there's always a handful of people that are either at the top of the organization or near the top. And one of the things they've done uniquely well is just be themselves. It's just be the best version of themselves. And then they're not competing with anybody else because nobody else can be like them. But it's really, 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 really hard. I
Bryan,
failed at it.
I have one story I'll say
Please.
super quickly that aligns with what you're saying. I was semi-recently with a client who, they're a defense industry client, and they had a lot of former military folks. They had a lot of engineers. They had a lot of executives, and I was hired to work with them on marketing. And I was going in for a discovery session, which in my world is, let's really explore this brand. Let's explore what you think the brand is. Let's talk about really in depth about business goals and marketing goals. And one of the ways I like to do that is to kind of dig deep into the personality of the company with questions like, if this company were a character, what would it be? Or, if you can think of, what are the faults of the organization? What's really broken that you need to work on? And a lot of these kind of tough questions when you have a lot of people in the room and you're going to expose cracks. But it's the best way that I know to do this session because everyone learns a lot about the company, and I get to learn a lot about the company. And we dig deep into things that people don't ever bring up. But because I'm sort of a consultant, like I'm that third party that gets to do that. Anyways, but with the personalities in the room, I went in that day just thinking this is either going to be amazingly fun, which it usually is with clients, or I'm going to get fired. I was for sure like 50-50, but this is the way I do it. This is the way I can really learn about the company. And usually clients walk away knowing so much more about themselves and answering questions about the company they've never had to answer before. And so everyone gets a lot of insight. And that session in a room with all men, I might add, they smiled more and laughed more and came up with so many creative, artistic ideas that I hadn't seen these light bulbs turn on with these individuals before in this way. And they were having so much fun together and laughing that I walked away with kind of like, it was one of the aha moments for me. Like, okay, A, I do know what I'm doing. And B, I did it being myself. And I think that they valued me for me, and it felt really good. And I didn't get fired. So, but it was a good experience. Yeah.
And that's a great anecdote. Jorge, you got a question?
No. I just wanted to confirm with Abby what she just experienced at that new company. And a lot of the times, I'm in manufacturing too, and I noticed that until you start asking the company what their really attributes are, a lot of the times they don't even understand their mission. So asking them questions and digging deep into understanding what they are actually doing, it'll take you farther because you understand exactly what their fallout is, and the company will see themselves what's happening.
Bravo. Completely agree.
Again, thank you, Abby. That's an important, Jorge. Thank you for saying it better than we did, because everyone comes into work and we all assume everyone's on the same page. Sometimes people come to work not even know what the company's about. They're just like punching a clock, and it takes people like Abby to get everyone in the room and go, "What is it we do around here, and why do we do it, and what are we good at, and what do we need to improve upon?" And people are like, "Oh my goodness." Thank God we had this exercise so we can all get on the same page, because we're all so busy answering the mail every day. And to take 90 minutes to do that can be so powerful. But that comes out of a place of Abby being on this journey of building that confidence to bring her self to work and put herself in that vulnerable position, which is ultimately, vulnerability is the position of the entrepreneur, putting yourself out there in a unique place. Any more questions for Abby before we let everyone go? It's been, almost 40 minutes, so a great session. Abby, tremendous storytelling and journey sharing. We've got Jorge, and hang on, let's go to Yuritsa. Hopefully I said that right. Yuritsa Rojo.
Yes, I just want to say I connected this, but like on a personal level. I'll be talking about, the company's strengths and stuff, but I did a TTI about 2 years ago, and I think it's really helped me like know what my blind spots are and what my weaknesses are, and like just on a personal level, know what you're about and what you really want in life too, and how you can work through it to get where you want.
That's
And
great.
what's a TTI?
It tells you it's a disc, like a type of a disc.
Oh,
So it tells you
okay.
your strengths, your like what type of influence you are and all of that.
Those are such
Yeah,
good.
exactly, Abby. Exactly. Well said. Those are so powerful. So, and what's crazy is I didn't know that until I was like 35. I was like, oh, you can figure out who you are. You can stop guessing about like who you are and what you're good at. There's a way to figure this out. How helpful. Jorge, I think you had another question.
Yes, TTI. Here, I'll put it on the chat. And there's some free ones. Mine, I did like a really extensive one, but because my job paid for it. But I feel like they're great and everybody should take one.
Yeah. Agreed.
And Yuritsa, what are you an engineer as well?
No, I'm majoring in business management, but I work in the construction industry right now.
Oh, good for you. Excellent. So you're doing this course at night, on weekends and so forth?
Yeah, when I'm off work.
Oh, wow. Good for you. Respect the hustle.
Yes.
DISC TTI. We will look that up. Jorge, we'll go to you before we close. Any last questions or comments?
Oh, thank you so much, everyone. Abby, and I just wanted a clarification on PTI so that I can use it myself.
Perfect. You got it. Well, as always, it's excellent to have you all here. Thank you for taking your time. I know it's extra credit, but hopefully you've taken something out of it to help you in your life and your career. And the most important thing is go on to LinkedIn, connect with Bryan Mitchell, connect with Abby Thompson. If you need help in your career, connecting with potential employers, getting a referral, so on and so forth, like Abby said, that's the whole shooting match, is connecting with good people and helping each other out. So I've connected with dozens of you over the last several years, and I will continue to do so. When you need me, reach out. One of you reached out last week and sent me your pitch deck to review, and that's my plan over the 4th of July week, is to dig into that and give you thoughtful notes. So I love helping the students to the best of my ability, and look forward to continuing to connect with you all. Abby, tremendous job. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. You guys have been really fun. I appreciate you. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm like Abby Thompson too, I think.
I will send, there's an announcement thing in the Canvas in the school thing. I'll send you and I's LinkedIn for everybody on this session.
Thanks for having me.
Everyone have
Bye,
a great
thank
4th
you.
of July.
You too. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.